Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps. In the northeastern corner of the Amazon River, where the borders of Peru, Colombia and Brazil meet, an Italian missionary has been working for over 35 years evangelizing the Ticuna Indians, the native people that make up the majority of the population in that area. Father Gino and his boat have become part of the landscape. Let's watch now a short program about the work of this modern-day missionary.
Father Gino is not afraid of hell, or at least of the green hell as the Brazilians call the Amazon. The northwestern corner of Brazil, called the High Solimos, borders Colombia and Peru. According to the official census, there is 1 inhabitant per square kilometre. The only means of communication is the river. The rich travel by motorboat, but the majority lacks these means and is limited to a meagre existence. As the Indians are not able to reach their parish, the parish must come to them. So Father Gino's boat travels up and down the Amazon River, several hundred kilometres every month, to seek out and serve his parishioners. Father Gino has 2 main skills, to preach and to fix his boat. It has been this way for more than half his life. His life journey started in Umbria, Italy. He knew he wanted to be a priest ever since the age of 9. Father Gino's family was big, and so it was only natural to feel attracted to community life. Finally, he chose the Capuchin congregation. He was still a seminarian when a missionary came from the Amazon and talked about mission.
I felt the same joy I felt on the day I entered the seminary, a joy I later classified as anesthetizing. After the lecture, I returned to my work. I was lifting a big stone in the square, in front of the church, which was being enlarged. The weight of the stone was 60 or 70 kilos. I was accustomed to this type of labor because I had worked in agriculture. But when I was putting it in a little cart, unexpectedly it slipped from my hands and fell on my foot from a height of 1 meter. But I had such a great joy at the thought of being a missionary that I felt no pain.
The Ticuna Indians today are led to believe that products in the jungle around them are of less nutritional value than what they see on television and can buy in stores. The understanding of the medicinal value of the fruits in agricultural products has lost its meaning. Father Gino works with the local Indians to help them relearn the traditional knowledge about the Amazon's wealth of fruits and plants. Although villagers may lack the means for food, a television set is a must. Often it is the young that are most affected. Emboldened by the visions presented in soap operas, they are tempted to leave the villages and try their luck in the cities. When they cannot find work, the Indians, once proud, start to drink. Alcoholism leads to despair, and despair to suicide. For Father Gino, television is one of the greatest pastoral problems in the Amazon region. There is an Amazonian expression: in the summer it rains every day, in the winter it rains every day, all day long. But neither the weather nor more difficult obstacles have dissuaded Father Gino from his mission. For 11 years he wanted to be not only a missionary, but a missionary specifically in the Amazon. He decided not to impose his will on his superior and never mentioned his aspirations. Much to his surprise and joy, he learned of his new assignment.
Eu me lembro que dia que chegamos de navio, foi.
I remember the day we arrived by boat, January the 24th, 1970, together with the same missionary that spoke to us for the first time and brought about my religious vocation. For 4 days I walked up and down and I tried to love the persons I met. After those 4 days, the bishop told me, "It seems as if you were born here in the Amazon. Nothing worries you."
Parece que você já é amazonense. Você não está preocupado com nada.
The concept of the gospel has been very distorted. Many missionaries have passed through here, many words have been said. The Bible has been read often, but we have loved very little. Now it is necessary to talk less and express solidarity, to love more. I think this is the great gift of Father Gino. In the first 4 months I couldn't bear the heat. I was unable to wear my traditional capuchin robes, though I wanted to do so. I sweated and sweated. I was not able to do anything. I had to put it aside. It was necessary at that time. Another difficulty was the language. I did not know Portuguese, but little by little, like a parrot, listening to other people, I learned, more or less. He's a very religious priest, and he really cares about the riverside people. Others do not do what he does. He faces many difficulties. He walks in the mud. He eats what there is to be eaten, and sometimes goes all day without food. Frei Gino is a fighter. He has great interest in helping the communities, especially with spiritual strength, something we need very much here.
Aí, mais uma razão para você comprar no Nordestão. Aos amigos servidores públicos, aposentados.
Father Gino must arrive. Even if he arrives 1 or 2 days late, he must arrive. The people expect him, and they come often from miles away in order to attend Mass. He travels 300 to 400 kilometers every month along the river. The only thing which can hinder him on his journey is the boat itself. Originally, Father Gino had a small wooden boat, which was slow and needed constant repair, costing a lot of time and money. Help came in the form of the international Catholic charity Aid to the Church in Need. With a new boat, Father Gino can visit his parishioners more often, and he has enough space for riverside hitchhikers.
I knew Aid to the Church in Need and Father Verenfried personally. And what drew my attention most was the solidarity with those who suffer.
Esta solidariedade, né? Com aquele que sofre. Benfeitor, faz o bem.
Benefactor means the one who does good things. What happens when a person gives? The person who gives, he opens himself to other people's need. When you give, you receive. I found a true liberty in Christian life, and I wished for my fellows to find this good that is God, and this total donation to God. Put God in first place, a God that is love, and with whom we find total happiness, everything. I would like people also to find this happiness wherever I go.
In the beginning, Father Gino travelled alone along the Amazon River, but now other congregations are starting to follow his example. More young people are also offering their free time to help Father Gino in his pastoral work. Father Gino had a dream to establish a permanent pastoral missionary group, travelling from village to village, bringing the gospel and catechism to the Indians of the region.
Riverside people welcome Catholic missionaries. During election time, politicians come here, but they never come again. Missionaries come without any political interest. They want to build a communion between the one who gives and the one who receives.
graça, o Senhor é convosco, bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, e bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre.
To tell us more about the work of Father Gino, it's my great privilege to welcome Mr. José Correa, the Brazilian director of the International Catholic charity Aid to the Church in Need, which has been supporting Father Gino throughout his missionary activity on the Amazon River. José, thank you for being with us here today.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
The natives of the area, the Ticuna, they number, I think, 32,000 in that particular corner of Brazil, in the Amazon area. They are Catholic. They were originally missioned end of the 19th, the beginning of the 20th century, and they still remain Catholic, yet they don't go to church, or at least it's very difficult for them. Consequently, the idea of a missionary today, what we thought would have been history, the idea of a missionary you always associate with the past, but missionaries today are still very important. What is the role of missionaries today in Brazil?
I cannot resist commenting on one expression you use. Although they are Catholics, they don't go to church. And do you know why they don't go to church? Because there are no churches. And that's the problem. The missionary is extremely important to keep the faith alive in those people, because there are practically no schools in the area. There are no forms of education. So the priest there, the missionary priest, quite often have to have the role of a medical doctor, of a teacher, and of a priest, all in one, because the government is most of the time absent from those regions. So the priest is the leader of these people, and naturally he is the leader of these scattered populations living along the rivers. And so the missionaries have to have their own boat to go up and down the river, serving the communities spread across the rivers.
José, Father Gino wanted to be a priest ever since he was 9 years old, and wanted to be a missionary in Brazil, particularly in the Amazon, ever since he was in the seminary. When did you meet Father Gino, and what was your experience of him as a person?
I met Father Gino several times in the last few years, and each time I'm more impressed with his figure. I think he's the incarnation of a missionary. He's 100% missionary. It's very impressive, very strong vocation, and he gave himself totally to this vocation to serve, to evangelize these populations scattered in the in the western Amazonic region. I say that the only way you can classify him is as a hero. He's a hero, living without any comfort of the modern world, living very harsh conditions, in utter poverty, but always happy to serve his people. It's a real example of the missionary.
José, one of the concerns that Father Gino expressed, and I remember we spoke about quite a lot, was television and the impact of modern culture on these native people, particularly in provoking the young people to leave their traditional culture and go to seek work in the big cities. What is, from your perspective, what is this phenomena, and what is the danger for these young people leaving the rural areas?
Satellite television is reaching, every corner of the world, including the rainforest in the Amazon. I've been to visiting a tribe of Indians there in a remote corner of Brazil, and I was amazed to see that they have a very modern satellite dish to capture a satellite to get the Brazilian TV stations.
The telenovelas.
They are watching the soap operas all day long. They knew all the latest musical hits, and they see those scenes of the big cities, tourists in the beach and things like that, and they think that life in the big cities is a sort of a paradise. and they migrate, they tend, especially the younger people, the more ambitious young people, tend to migrate to the cities to look for these paradisical scenes that they see in the soap operas.
But often with devastating results.
Oh, they end up in the slums. They end up in utter misery in the city, and the Indians are prone to alcoholism. So many of them end up totally taken by this terrible vice that ruined their health and their lives. It's terrible.
What is the church, particularly in Sao Paulo and other cities where these people, these young people are arriving, what is the church trying to do and how is it trying to respond to this problem?
They try to respond already even in the places where the Indians are. For instance, in this area where Frei Gino evangelizes, the local bishop instituted sort of a farm for the Indians and mixed people, white men mixed with Indians. There are many such families over there in the area that also are already falling into alcoholism by influence of television. They had this farm to rehabilitate these young people while there is still time to get them back to a normal life and to halt them to migrate to the big cities.
Another problem which is not unique only to the Amazon River but throughout Brazil, but is having a deeper and deeper impact is the arrival of sects into this corner of Brazil. Can you tell us a little bit about this new emergence of sects in the Amazon?
Yes, because the number of Catholic priests is very small for that region. In the whole of Brazil, we have a small number of priests, although the number of vocations are growing exponentially in the last years. Still, there is a lack of priests in the country. And these areas that are full of problems, like the Amazon region, has even fewer priests. So there is a vacuum, a spiritual vacuum, and Brazilian people are very religious. They tend very much to be religious, to be devotional. And so some Brazilian-born sects, based on strong personalities, opportunistic people try to profit from this occasion to start their own outfits that they call, the Church of God #5, the Church of God of spiritual richness, whatever. They give whatever ridiculous name occurred to them. And they preach to these people that have this religious tendency, but are religious ignorant because there are no priests, no religious education, no books. Many of them are illiterate. So religious ignorance is almost total.
What makes them so successful? Because they're expanding extraordinarily quickly.
I would compare them with the soap operas. They are a sort of a religious soap opera. They preach success, richness. If you come here to my church and you give money to me, God will give the double to you immediately. You'll become rich. You'll become a successful man or woman if you come here, because God is with us and God will give money to you. It's a very simplistic preaching, but may get away with ignorant people, that these poor people have no education of any kind.
I remember Father Gino once in a conversation with him precisely was speaking to us about a village that had been literally divided in two. He called it the village Iran-Iraq, because on one side you had what he considered the Iranians, on the other side the Iraqis, who for religious reasons were battling each other. That is, one was a traditionally Catholic part of the village, and then evangelical or personality-based church sprang up and took over the second part of the village, to the point where there was literally violence going on between the two, and also a sense of the have and the have-nots, because the ones that were tending towards prosperity gospel and things, there was also promises of education. That is, if young people were to join the personality-based church with money from America, often education of the young people could be promised to be in America. So this also came into play, an economic incentive, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. There is lots of money coming to these new churches from the United States. Sad to say, but perhaps the donors do not know how this money is being misused with false promises and giving hints to people. If they go to that church, they'll get money, they'll get rich, they'll get a profession, a career, or a job, you know. Mixing up secular interests with spiritual interests. It's a very sad situation.
Coming back to Father Gino, Aid to the Church in Need has been supporting his work and his boat for some years. What was it that struck you in his story as being particular and unique, warranting the support of Aid to the Church in Need?
Well, it's unique because this is an abandoned area. As I mentioned before, the Brazilian government doesn't do anything for these populations. They are totally abandoned over there. There are very few priests, and Frei Gino is one of the few missionary priests willing to attend these dangerous areas and in a very poor, even miserable region. So I think his evangelization work is absolutely outstanding. That's why Aid Church in Need decided to support him and his bishop as well. His bishop has several initiatives that we are supporting in that faraway corner of Brazil.
What would be some of the other initiatives, for example, of the bishop that you would be supporting?
Oh, he's like this farm I mentioned for alcoholic people and some other evangelization program for the communities spread in the region.
Jose Correa, thank you for having been with us today, and thank you for sharing your experiences with Frei Gino, who I hope we're going to hear more about in his work in the Brazil and Amazon region. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us on our program. And if you'd like to know more about Father Gino, his work with the native people in the Amazon, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Where God Weeps.